September baseball, a lot of exciting things happening in the final month of the season. You got MVP race, you got Cy Young race, you got playoff race. But one thing that I feel like goes under the radar is the September call-ups. This is a time where you can see a lot of different players getting their first chance, or maybe even second chance, or maybe even third chance at being in the major leagues, and they have a chance to make a name for themselves. This might be the last year that we do see these kind of September call-ups as well, because the rule stated before you could have up to 40 guys on the team, but next year it switches to 28. So those rosters are getting a lot smaller. I personally love seeing the September call-ups. We get to see a lot of different names and faces on the major league roster. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you about 10 September call-ups that I feel like are the best, or that you necessarily need to watch, have an interesting story, because personally, I love the September call-ups, and these are guys that I know I'll be watching when the Mets aren't on, or maybe even when the Mets are on. And before we get going into the video, of course, if you want to buy any tickets to any sport events, make sure to check out SeatGeek. Use the code Giraffe to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Testing out a new intro today. We're not doing the like, comment, subscribe thing. We're just going to hop right into it. Starting off today's video north of the border with a Toronto Blue Jays pitching prospect, Anthony Kay. You might have heard of Anthony Kay's name because he was recently involved in the Mets Blue Jays trade that involved getting Marcus Stroman, and just a few days ago, he actually made his major league debut for the Toronto Blue Jays, and he did a pretty good job against the Tampa Bay Rays. 5 2/3 innings pitched, only allowed 4 hits, walked 3, and struck out 8, and he was able to show off some of the talent that he has that made him an interesting piece for the Blue Jays to acquire in the trade for Marcus Stroman. Anthony Kay doesn't necessarily project as a ace top-of-the-line starter, but as a left-handed arm who's got a nice fastball, plus curveball, good changeup, and pretty decent control, he's definitely someone worth watching, especially on a Toronto Blue Jays team that's extremely young and is looking towards the future. Anthony Kay is definitely going to be a part of that. Plus, when you get to watch Anthony Kay, you get to watch Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, and a bunch of other young players that the Blue Jays are trying to figure out what to do with them. So Anthony Kay might not be one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, but I think he's worth a watch on the Blue Jays the rest of the season. For this next player, we're heading out west to the Bay Area, the Oakland Athletics catching prospect Shaun Murphy. Murphy's the number 4 ranked catching prospect in all of baseball and number 43 in the top 100. Murphy's not only interesting to watch because he's a top prospect, but also because he has a great story. He went undrafted out of high school, wasn't recruited very much, ended up going to Wright State as a walk-on, and after dominating in college, he got picked in the 3rd round, so he's kind of this underdog story. And in the minors, he's done a pretty good job thus far throughout his career. He's not an elite hitter, his hitting and power grades aren't extremely high, but he hit pretty well at the AAA level in 31 games this year. The big thing with Shaun Murphy is that he's fantastic behind the plate, super athletic, he blocks pitches beautifully, he's one of the better receivers in the minor league system, and the dude has an absolute hose behind the plate, a 70 arm grade according to Major League Baseball top prospects. Absolute hose. In the 5 games he has played in thus far, he's 2 for 9 with a home run and 2 RBIs, hitting 222, 300. I mean, these percentage stats really don't matter with such a small sample size, but I think he's worth a watch, especially with the Oakland A's playing such great baseball. Now let's head to my favorite team, the New York Mets. This player is not a prospect. He's actually up there in age at 35 years old, Jed Lowrie. Yes, Jed Lowrie exists. He's actually played in 2 games for the Mets. He was called up a few days ago, and he's 0 for 2. But the reason I have him on here is because as Mets fans, you've been waiting all year for this guy, and finally, in September, we get to see that Jed Lowrie is actually a real player and that he's alive. Now, the Mets have him signed to a 2-year, $20 million deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and the reason I put him on this list is because he was pretty good the last couple years with Oakland, and the Mets are in a playoff race. Is it possible that he has a chance to make an impact on this team? He's gonna be on the Mets next year, so it's almost like a little bit of a tryout to see what kind of Jed Lowrie are we gonna get. Are we gonna get the Jed Lowrie from his early days in Boston where he was a weak hitting second baseman, or are we gonna get Jed Lowrie of the Oakland A's the last couple seasons where he's getting 30, 40 doubles a season, hitting for power, playing a bunch of different positions? Personally, I hope we get the Jed Lowrie of the last couple seasons, but that's yet to be seen. He's coming back from some injuries that took way longer than we expected. All I can hope for is that he plays well and stays healthy, but it's definitely an interesting story because, you know, the Mets. We always sign guys who just never end up living up to the hype. Heading back out to Oakland, crazy, 3 guys who have some type of Oakland A connection here in this video, but let's talk about Jesus Luzardo, the left-handed pitching prospect on the Oakland A's. He's ranked number 18 out of the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball and is considered as the number 3 left-handed pitching prospect. Luzardo was held back from action at the start of the season due to a shoulder strain, and then actually got set back even more due to a lat strain, but it's evident that this guy has an insane amount of talent, and in the few games that he did pitch in the minors this year, only 11, he had a 2.51 ERA and a whip at 1.02. Luzardo has a plus fastball reaching 98 miles an hour, really nice curveball, really nice changeup. He barely walks anybody, only 8 walks in 43 innings in the minor leagues this year, and he has a very high strikeout rate, 57 strikeouts opposed to 43 innings. Doesn't give up the long ball, seems like he's gonna be a great pitcher for the A's to have in the future, and he's only 21 years old. There was thought that he was gonna make the roster out of opening day this year, but like I said, that injury has set him back. But you need to keep an eye out for him because he's gonna be a part of the A's future for quite some time, and is a really excited left-handed pitcher. Sticking with the left-handed pitcher theme, we're gonna go down to Tampa Bay and talk about left-handed pitcher / DH, Brendan McKay. A little bit of a Shohei Ohtani type, Brendan McKay is known as a hitter and a pitcher, although he has had a little bit more success professionally as a pitcher than hitter. Now, he did have some call-ups earlier in the season with the Tampa Bay Rays, but he was sent down and has been a September call-up, so he technically qualifies for this video. McKay definitely grades better as a pitcher than he does hitter. In 145 at-bats in the minors this year, he's hitting 200 with 5 home runs and 4 doubles, a 629 OPS, so nothing really to brag about. But as a pitcher, he had much more success in the minors. In 15 games, 13 starts this year, he had a minor league ERA of 1.10 with a whip at .814, striking out 12.5 batters per 9, only walking 18 batters in 73 2/3 innings. He's the number 14 prospect in all of baseball, number 2 left-handed pitching prospect, so he's one ahead of Jesus Luzardo. His fastball sits in that mid-90s range. He's also got a cutter, curveball, and changeup to add to his arsenal. McKay's a really exciting player, not only because he's a really good pitcher, but there's also the chance you're going to get to see him step up at the plate. Who doesn't want to see more pitcher hitters? I mean, Shohei Ohtani, Michael Lorenzen. Let's add Brendan McKay to that list. Finally, for a pitcher that's not left-handed, we head up to Minnesota to talk about Brusdar Graterol. Graterol can absolutely pump on the mound. The dude throws some cheese. Fastball sitting in that 96 to 98 range, and his stuff only seems to be getting better as he gets further along from his Tommy John surgery that he received in 2016. In the minors in 2019, Graterol was absolutely dominant. Graterol's a highly touted prospect of the Twins, who obviously need pitching help in the future. He could be a part of it. He's ranked number 54 out of the top 100 in Major League Baseball. He had a dominant season in the minors in 2019, 18 games pitched in, 11 starts. He has a 1.92 ERA with a whip under 1 at .98. Opponents are only hitting 179 against him. In 61 innings, he allowed 37 hits, 3 home runs, and 23 walks, striking out 61 batters. So his walks are a little bit high, but when you have electric stuff like Brusdar, it doesn't matter. Very high fastball, super tight slider, which is absolutely disgusting. In the 3 games he has appeared in Major League level, he hasn't got off to a great start, an ERA at 13.5, but again, he's only pitched 2 innings, so you gotta take it with a grain of salt. I think it's worth watching this guy as we go down the stretch here because he seems like he could be a part of the Twins rotation in 2020, and the dude has electric stuff. Who doesn't like to watch some nasty pitches? Not that the Houston Astros need any more help or need any more star players, but Kyle Tucker, one of their September call-ups, well, he could be the next star in Houston. This isn't Kyle Tucker's first time in Major League Baseball. He had a call-up back in 2018, but this is the first time he's playing in Major League Baseball in 2019, and the dude's just an absolute stud. At the AAA level, he's been pretty good. You know, 34 homers, 26 doubles, 3 triples, 97 RBIs, 266 average, 354 on base, 555 slugging, and a 909 OPS this year. He's the number 12 prospect in all of baseball, number 4 outfield prospect. He's got a fantastic left-handed swing, hits for power, he can run the bases. He's pretty close to a 5-tool player. While 2018 didn't do him great at Major League level, in the 7 games he's played in thus far in 2019, he's hitting the ball pretty well. In 7 games, he has a homer, 3 doubles, 5 RBIs, hitting 286 with 318 on base, 571 slugging, give him an OPS at 890. He may no longer seem like he's going to be that future center fielder for the Astros, maybe more of a corner guy, possibly even first base, but the boy can flat out hit the baseball, and add that bat to an already super strong Houston Astros lineup, I'm going to be watching them even more now. This next player for the Chicago Cubs was a bit of a surprise September call-up. He got called up due to a Javi Baez injury, and it's actually made him the first player from the 2018 draft class to be called up to Major League Baseball. That player is Nico Horner. Horner is the number 47 prospect in all of baseball, number 7 among shortstops, and similar to a lot of the guys who are being called up right now, the boy can flat out hit. I mean, even in the 1 game that he's played in Major League Baseball right now, he's already made an impact. He had 4 RBIs in his debut, including a triple, and going 3 for 5, so I think that's a pretty good start. He's extremely athletic. He plays shortstop. He can play all the infield positions. He can honestly even play the outfield if needed. He may not hit for a lot of power, but he's a guy who can hit to all fields. He gets on base pretty well, and he strikes out at an extremely low rate, so he's putting the ball in play. He may not be the next Javi Baez for the Chicago Cubs, but at only 22 years of age, there's no real rush for Nico Horner to step into that star role just yet, and instead do what he does best. Hit for a high average, get on base, play good defense, and help the Cubs down the stretch to push for a playoff spot. Now, for the player you've probably all been waiting for, Gavin Lux. Yes, you wanna watch Gavin Lux play right now. That dude is going to be a beast. Number 9 prospect in all of baseball, number 4 among shortstops. Just to show you how crazy loaded the shortstop position is in the minors, Lux is an extremely talented player. Hits for average, hits for power, can run, can steal bases, plays good in the field, has a nice arm, and he's absolutely torn up the minor leagues in his 4 seasons of play, including an extremely strong 2019, which earned him his September call-up. In 2019, split between AA and AAA, Gavin Lux had 26 homers, 25 doubles, and 8 triples along with 78 RBIs and 10 stolen bases, hitting 347 with a 421 on base, 607 slugging, and an OPS at 1028. So yeah, if you had any doubts about if this guy could hit, because right now he is hitting 150 at the Major League level through 6 games, just take a look at what he's done in the minors. It's gonna come eventually. Similar to the Astros, the Dodgers don't need a lot of help right now. Like, come on, really, Gavin Lux? You're gonna add him to this team full of all-stars? It's crazy to think that somehow the Dodgers could get better, and Gavin Lux could be a a part of that. He's only 21 years old, turns 22 in a couple months. He can play shortstop, might be the second base of the future with him and Corey Seager up the middle. The Dodgers are only getting better, and Gavin Lux is going to be a part of it. You need to watch this guy play. He is a stud, future star of the game. And then for this final player, we have a feel-good story. Someone you need to watch just because of how tough it's been for him. That's going to be Aaron Barrett of the Washington Nationals. Now, you might have heard of Aaron Barrett in the past because he was a part of the Nationals teams in 2014 and 2015, but then it took him 4 years to get back to Major League Baseball. The last time he pitched prior to 2019 was in 2015 for the Nationals. And it's not like he had been bad for the Nationals either in those 2 seasons. A 2.66 ERA in 2014, 4.6 in 2015, through 70 innings for them. He had been pretty solid, but the reason he's taken so long to get back to the Major League level is because he essentially threw out his arm on a pitch while throwing a fastball. An extremely painful clip to watch. In the 8th inning of a game against the Milwaukee Brewers, Aaron Barrett threw a pitch and seemingly seemed to tweak his arm. He ended up getting pulled from that game with an arm injury, and it took him 4 years to get back to Major League Baseball. He's had a roller coaster to get back to the bigs. Multiple arm injuries. He's broken bones in his right arm. That arm injury that occurred in Milwaukee for Barrett was just the start for him. In 2016, he ended up breaking his humerus in his right elbow, which almost canceled his entire career as well as his physical well-being in 2016 of July. A 3-year recovery process that included learning how to throw a baseball again, climbing back up through the minor league system, and he finally got to come back to Major League Baseball just a few nights ago in Atlanta. And after 4 long years of working hard and trying to come back from a devastating injury, Aaron Barrett got the chance when the Nationals called him up in 2019 for September, and he got to make his first appearance back in Atlanta. And as you can imagine, emotions were running extremely high. He went back to the bench, he was super emotional, he was crying, and as a baseball fan, you could feel the emotion yourself. You may not know the guy, you may not be a Nationals fan, but this is one of the feel-good stories of 2019 in Major League Baseball. And even though the Nationals are rivals for the Mets, this is one of the few guys on that team that I'll be rooting for, because you never want to see a player's career cut short due to injury. And even though we're competing right now, I'm glad to see the guy back healthy, and I think everybody else should be watching this guy because it truly is a great story. So those are the 10 September call-ups that I feel like you should be watching, or you should at least be keeping an eye out for the rest of the season. Maybe during commercial break, flip over the channel to another game, go to MLB TV, watch some highlights of these guys. They're going to be exciting for the future, or maybe even some of these guys, you might be seeing some of their last times playing. A lot of these guys are going to be a part of the future of Major League Baseball. Go ahead, see the potential that they have, see the stars in the making. And for guys like Aaron Barrett and Jed Lowry, get to see them coming back from injury, a little bit more serious with Aaron Barrett, and just have some feel-good stories. I would love to know if there's anybody I left off from this list down in the comment section below. Is there someone I'm not talking about? Is there someone I left out? Let me know down below. Remember, leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. That's the best way to show your support, as well as subscribing to the channel if you're new and you enjoy the content. If you love baseball, click that sub button, join the team. If you guys like what I have to say about baseball, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. And of course, check out SeatGeek. Save yourself some money on some tickets. Use that code GIRAFFE, $20 off. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video right here, as well as this is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.